17-year-old Jason Findley was talking on a landline phone, watching the storm outside the window. Suddenly, lightning struck the phone line, traveling through the wires, and hit the boy through the receiver. He passed away on the spot from cardiac arrest. When I was a kid, it used to bug me when I wanted to play on the computer, yet my parents would make me turn off all the electronics during a storm. But after hearing the stories of people perishing in this video, I get that being careful is never a bad idea. As always, viewer discretion is advised. August 28, 2022, Chhattisgarh State, India. 15 relatives from Singrauli, Madhya Pradesh, decided to have a picnic at a popular local spot near Ramdaha Waterfall. It's an insanely marvelous landmark that reaches a height of 37 meters. Young sisters Shraddha and Shweta Singh were standing at the edge of the water, planning to take a selfie. Suddenly, Shraddha lost her balance, stumbled, and fell into the rushing water. Seeing this, 5 people immediately rushed into the water to try to save the girl. They held hands, helping to pull Shraddha out together. However, the water currents were too fast and strong. Witnesses say that in just a few seconds, the whole rescue group was dragged into the swift current, and they had to fight for their own lives. People passing by quickly called for help, and soon rescue teams and divers from the state emergency services showed up. But by then, it was too late. They pulled out 3 bodies that evening, and another 3 the next day. Somehow, one person managed to survive after falling from such a height and fighting through the deadly, raging waves. That person was a girl named Sulekha Singh, Shraddha's cousin's wife. The police confirmed that warning signs were set up at the picnic spot, clearly stating that swimming was prohibited, so the girls shouldn't have gone near the dangerous waters of Ramdaha, and neither should their relatives. Nevertheless, did they really have a choice when they saw a child fall into the waterfall? Their actions were probably instinctive, and this isn't the only tragic story where the desire to take a good selfie made people forget about their own safety. May 15th, 2021, Indonesia. At a reservoir in central Java, another tourist tour was taking place. There were 20 people in the boat, and at one point, they decided to take a group photo. So, all the tourists on board shifted to one side simultaneously to get in the shot. Because of this, the boat tipped over and flipped instantly. Everyone was suddenly in the water. Was there really no chance for them to be saved? In fact, minimal. For some reason, the boat was being steered by a 13-year-old boy. There were no experienced captains and no proper safety measures in place to react quickly to an emergency. People started drowning, and most of them didn't even have time to realize what was happening. Rescue teams arrived at the scene quickly, but they were only able to pull 11 passengers out of the water alive. Among the 9 victims were even a 1-year-old and an 8-year-old boy. If you still don't realize how dangerous chasing the perfect shot can be, let me tell you the third story, which is even more terrifying than the previous one. February 15th, 2024. Tirupati, India. 38-year-old Prahlad Gurjar, clearly drunk, headed straight for the lion den at the zoo. The guard tried to stop him, yet he just ignored the warning. Prahlad climbed over the 1-meter protective wall, went up to the water tank, and then jumped straight into the lion's enclosure to face a lion named Dongalpur. It's unclear why the visitor decided to take such a risk, but witnesses said the man was apparently trying to take a selfie. The predator saw the stranger and reacted right away. The animal jumped at Prahlad, dragged him to a corner of the enclosure, and gnawed on him for 10 minutes without stopping. The man passed away before anyone could help. Don't put your safety at risk just to get a good photo. Otherwise, you might not make it out alive. These people probably knew they weren't following the rules, but didn't expect any trouble. September 30th, 2022. Hickory, North Carolina. Phil Paxson celebrated his daughter's 9th birthday at a barbecue at a friend's house. Afterward, Paxson stayed to help clean up while the tired kids left with his wife, Alicia. At some point, she turned right, and Phil, who knew the road less well, turned left in his Jeep Gladiator, trusting his GPS. This wrong turn proved fatal for Phil. The GPS navigator led him onto a concrete road that ended in a bridge. It was destroyed by a flood in 2013 and has been in dire condition for 9 years. Phil was in the dark, and it was raining. There were no warning signs or barriers to stop the car. There was no way for him to know the bridge was too steep to cross. He drove off the bridge, and the car plunged straight into the river. He must have realized what was happening when he fell down. The car flipped over and quickly went under. Meanwhile, the wife was worried about her husband, who hadn't returned for a while. So she called the police. The North Carolina Highway Patrol didn't get a report about the car in the creek until the next morning. When the officers got there, they found Phil's body inside the submerged car. Alicia Paxson went to court and stated that this tragedy could have been prevented. The concerns were first raised in 2014, when local residents asked for the bridge to be repaired. On top of that, the barricades that had warned people about the bridge's emergency situation were gone. The construction company that was in charge of the site had been dissolved a while back, and it wasn't clear who was responsible for the bridge. I never found out if they did anything to prevent anyone else from getting into a similar situation. So, don't just trust your GPS. Be careful on unfamiliar routes. Still, some drivers are just looking to take risks. June 19th, 1960, Belgium. Rider Alan Stacey was racing on the Spa-Francorchamps track, getting ready to tackle one of the most dangerous turns. His car was going over 190 kilometers per hour, and the crowd was loving it. The British driver was doing a great job, keeping 6th place. This event was part of the Belgian Grand Prix World Championship, and Alan Stacey wasn't just any racer. Despite losing his right leg in a motorcycle accident at 17, he not only returned to active life, but also became a Formula One driver. He successfully overcame physical difficulties with a prosthetic limb and competed in the most prestigious motorsport events. I'm sure you're already trying to guess what happened to the racer. Did he lose control at high speed? Actually, no. However, the trouble came from a place you wouldn't expect. So he's trying to pass the Ferrari, right? And all of a sudden, a bird just flies right into his face. No one saw that coming. It was crazy. Alan lost control. The race car flew off the road, crashed through the barrier, and ended up in the field. The driver suffered life-threatening injuries. Some onlookers claimed he most likely perished instantly before the car was thrown off the road. They claimed to have seen the driver look as if he had blacked out or straight away passed away after the bird hit, probably from a broken neck before he even hit the barrier. If you're into high-speed races, you need to make sure you've got the best protective gear possible, like improved helmets that can protect you against the unknown. In the following stories, the risk was so high that the tragic outcome was almost inevitable. October 8, 1970, Dongtan Beach, Jomtien, South Pattaya, Thailand. Mitter Chaibancha, a Thai movie star, is hanging from a rope ladder swinging from a helicopter. The sun is setting, creating the perfect atmosphere for the final scene of The Golden Eagle. However, nobody expected this moment to be the last in the actor's life. According to the plan, Mitter's character was supposed to fly away in a helicopter, clinging to a rope ladder, and the actor wanted to do this stunt alone, without any insurance. The team insisted on using a stunt double, yet Mitter persisted. When the helicopter started to rise, the actor grabbed the lowest step of the ladder. Everything was fine as long as Mitter was flying close to the ground. But when the helicopter went higher, the actor fell off and instantly fell to his death. The moment was recorded on camera, yet the scene with the actor's fall was cut from future releases. The hero of the next story also took his job too personally. June 4th, 1923, Belmont Park, New York. 22-year-old Irish jockey Frank Hayes fulfilled his dream of riding in a race for the first time. He rode a horse named Sweet Kiss, who was a 20-1 long shot to win. But as soon as the race started, the audience was amazed. Frank and his horse skillfully overcame the obstacles and surprisingly came in first. The audience screamed with delight. Then, everyone noticed that the jockey wasn't moving for some reason. As it turned out, Frank wasn't alive. The doctors said he had a heart attack right during the race. They think it was probably due to physical and psychological fatigue caused by extreme weight loss. As it turned out, Frank was doing everything he could to meet the strict weight limits required to participate in races. In the world of horse racing, a jockey's weight must be kept to a minimum to reduce the strain on the horse and increase his chances of winning. To achieve this, Hayes underwent grueling training and almost completely stopped eating to reach a weight of 59 kilograms. Frank's body tumbled out of the saddle 91 meters past the finish line, but Sweet Kiss's victory was still counted as official. It's too bad Frank didn't hear everyone chanting his name. His horse never raced again and got nicknamed Sweet Kiss of Death. Don't forget that going too far for sports or other achievements can actually be deadly. Still, the following stories were the complete opposite of the ones we've seen before. January 20th, 1937, Brooklyn, New York. 32-year-old Catherine Steyer, a wardrobe attendant, came back to her place after a shift at the Edison Hotel. She looked around, making sure no one was home. 3 months ago, burglars broke into Catherine's home. She was more scared that they would attack her than that she might lose her belongings. So her fiancé installed an electric wire in the curtains between the bedroom and the kitchen, and she had to turn it on before bed. The idea was simple. If someone tried to get through the curtains, they would touch the wires and get an electric shock. That evening, Catherine accidentally touched the curtains. Her right hand got seriously burned, and she perished from a 300-volt electric shock. Don't try to make your own electrical devices, even for self-defense. And just so you know, the next story is about someone who lost their life from an electric shock. On May 3rd, 1972, at the top-ranked Suite Hotel in Swansea, Wales, the band Stone the Crows performed for a large audience of fans. Leslie Harvey was strumming a guitar with one hand and reaching for the mic with the other. He didn't know it wasn't grounded. This created a closed electrical circuit, and the musician got a powerful electric shock right on the stage in front of the audience. Leslie was rushed to the hospital, yet unfortunately, he couldn't be saved. He passed away at the age of 27. Back in the 70s, electrical safety in the music industry wasn't as strict as today's. We used outdated and unreliable equipment and didn't really concern ourselves with our staff's qualifications. Fortunately, nowadays, we have safer equipment and more rigorous standards. The most unfortunate and unusual cause of death for me is the accident with Thomas Mantell, as he perished because of a UFO. On January 7, 1948, near Franklin, Kentucky, Thomas, a U.S. National Guard pilot, was ordered to pursue an unidentified flying object. People saw the object as a big metal disc, and a Nashville astronomer saw a pear-shaped balloon with cables and a basket through his binoculars. Mantell felt adrenaline and a wild desire to chase the strange object to see what it was. He could have been the very person who would have the first encounter with a UFO. Thinking about it, he forgot about altitude control. Thomas climbed to almost 8,000 meters, where the lack of oxygen took its toll. He passed out, releasing the controls, and his plane went into a deadly nosedive. It crashed moments later. Thomas Mantell never learned that what he was chasing was a top-secret skyhook balloon known only to a select few in the military. His sacrifice was in vain, and that's truly heartbreaking. Share your knowledge of other tragic and unfortunate deaths in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more incredible stories based on real events.